morning Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. I would like to welcome you all one by one. If you could kindly unmute yourself and introduce yourself, please, devotees.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvindax Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvindax Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for regularly joining the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru and Gauranga ki jai. This is Shivani from Ashram, Virginia. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Shivani Mataji, Dandavat Pranam Mata, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Many thanks for joining Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mataji. Please keep giving us your association. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharajas, and all glories to the assembled devotees. This is Tiffany in Ohio today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Tiffany Mataji from Ohio today. Hope you're having a great time, Mataji. Welcome once again to the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call, Mata. Dandavat Pranam to you and Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much, Mataji, for all your services, and thank you for joining this call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Sanita from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Sanita Mataji, my Dandavat Pranam to you too, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for consistently joining this call, Mataji. Please keep gracing us with your association. Welcome.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to all the devotees. This is Sushmita from Canada.
Hare Krishna, Sushmita Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for joining the call, Mataji. I see Maharaj has already joined. Anybody else that would like to introduce
Hare Krishna, Nina Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Radha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Devi Mataji, my humble obeisances at your lotus feet, Mata. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much for always joining this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Please keep gracing us with your association. I see Maharaj has already joined. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all our Guru Maharajas, Maharaj. So,
Hare Krishna, my obeisances to you and to all the devotees. Panchakalpa Tarubhascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhavacha, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. There is one thing I should mention. I've been having trouble staying on the internet with my connection here. It keeps jumping off. So if that happens, just give me a minute and I'll be back. I just have to keep reconnecting. Let's hope it doesn't happen.
Yes, Maharaj, that shouldn't be a problem. Devotees, just for our kind information, we'll proceed with Canto 5, Chapter 24, verse number 19th and 20th. Maharaj, whenever you're ready, you may take over the call.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So again, we have the what is it called? Can't think of it. It's not the Sanskrit, but it's Sanskrit, but it's called the
prose.
The prose, yeah. Thank you. So we'll We'll go right to the translation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Canto 5, Chapter 24, verses 19 and 20. This is verse 19. My dear king, Bali Maharaj donated all his possession to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vamanadev. But one should certainly not conclude that he achieved his great worldly opulence in Bilva Swarga as a result of his charitable disposition. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the source of life for all living entities, lives within everyone as the friendly supersoul. And under his direction, a living entity enjoys or suffers in the material world. Greatly appreciating the transcendental qualities of the Lord, Bali Maharaj offered everything at his lotus feet. His purpose, however, was not to gain anything material, but to become a pure devotee. For a pure devotee, the door of liberation is automatically opened. One should not think that Bali Maharaj was given so much material opulence merely because of his charity. When one becomes a pure devotee in love, he may also be blessed with a good material position by the will of the Supreme Lord. However, one should not mistakenly think that the material opulence of a devotee is a result of his devotional service. The real result of devotional service is the awakening of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which continues under all circumstances. So I just want to make one comment on that, if there is some favor shown to the devotee by the Lord, it's not because of his charity or anything he's done on the material level. It's because Krishna just wants to show his appreciation, his love for his devotee. So he may offer some material opposition, some good material position, just to show his love for his devotee. It's not because of anything else. It's simply because of Krishna's kindness towards that soul. Okay, verse 20. If one who is embarrassed by hunger or who falls down or stumbles chants the holy name or the Lord even once, willingly or unwillingly, immediately freed from the reactions of his past deeds. Karmis entangled in the material activities face many difficulties in the practice of Nistha Yoga and other endeavors to achieve that same freedom. Purport: it is not a fact that one has to offer his material possessions to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and be liberated before he can engage in devotional service. Very important statement too. It is not a fact that one has to offer his material possessions to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and be liberated before he can engage in devotional service. A devotee automatically attains liberation without separate endeavor. Bali Maharaj did not get back all his material possessions merely because of his charity to the Lord. One who becomes a devotee, freed from material desires and motives, regards all opportunities, both material and spiritual, as benedictions from the Lord. In this way, his service to the Lord is never hampered. So, hampered. What we see here is that one should use their material possessions in the service of the Lord, because that is a way to serve the Lord. It's also a way to sacrifice one's attachment to enjoying those material possessions. But this is not the prerequisite for attaining perfection in life, although it is a means for serving the Lord. Mukti, material enjoyment, and mukti, liberation, are only byproducts of devotional service. They're not the benefit of devotional service. A devotee need not work separately to attain mukti. Srila Bilvamangala Thakur says, Mukti swayam mukundli tanjali seva te sman. A pure devotee of the Lord does not have to endeavor separately for mukti because mukti is already there to serve him. In this regard, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Anchya 3.177-188 describes Haridas Thakur's confirmation of the effects of chanting of the holy name. So now you'll see these verses are being narrated. Kehabale namahoite haya papashaya. Kehabala namahoite jivera moksha hoya. Some say that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is freed from all the reactions of sinful life. And others say that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one attains liberation from material bondage. Haridasa kahena namera edui falanaya kamera fala Krishna pada prema upajaya. Haridas Thakur, bring it down again. I can't see the whole thing. Okay, leave it there. Haridas Thakur said that the desired result of chanting the holy name of the Lord is not that one is liberated from material bondage or free from the reactions of sinful life. The actual result of chanting the holy name of the Lord is that one awakens his dormant Krishna consciousness, his loving service to the Lord. Anusangika fali namera mukte papa nahasa tahara dristanta yaiche sudera prakash. Haridas Thakur said that liberation and freedom from the reactions of sinful activities are only byproducts of chanting the holy name of the Lord. If one chants the holy name of the Lord purely, he attains the platform of loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this regard, Haridas Thakur gave the example comparing the power of the holy name to sunshine. E slokera artakara panditera gana sabbekahe tu mekahe arta vivarana. He placed the verse before all the learned scholars present, but the learned scholars asked him to state the purpose of the verse. Haridasa kehena yache sureva udaya udayana haite arambe tamera hoya shaya. Haridas Thakur said that as the sun begins to rise, it dissipates the darkness of night, even before the sunshine is visible. Charaprita raksasa dira vayahaya nasa udahila dharma karma adi parakasa. Before the sunrise even takes place, the light of dawn destroys the fear of the dangers of the night, such as disturbances by thieves, ghosts, and rakshasas. And when the sunshine actually appears, one engages in his duties. Ache namo dararambe papa adira shaya udaya kalila Krishna padahaya premadoya. Similarly, even before one's chanting of the holy name is pure, one is freed from all sinful reactions. And when he chants purely, he becomes a lover of Krishna. Mukti tucha palahaya namapasa hoite ye mukta bhakta nalaya. Say Krishna chaya dite. A devotee never accepts mukti, even if Krishna offers it. Mukti, freedom from all sinful reactions, is attained even by namabhas, or a glimpse of the light of the holy name before its full light is perfectly visible. The Namabha stage is between that of Namaparad, or chanting of the holy name with offenses, and pure chanting. There are 3 stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord. In the first stage, one commits 10 offenses of chanting 10 offenses while chanting. In the next stage, Namabhas, the offenses have almost stopped, and one is coming to the platform of pure chanting. In the third stage, when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra without offenses, his dormant love for Krishna immediately awakens. This is the perfection. Om Gyan Timirandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chaksu Unnamitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Vasyatya De Satarine Vanchakalpatarubhisja Vipa Sindhu Vaibhacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhisja Kripa Sindhu Vaibhacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So using that example done by Srila Haridas Thakur, as when the sun starts to take its rising and it's getting to the horizon, the sun is always in its orbit. The sun is always light. The sun is not free. The sun is free from sundown and sunup. There's no such thing as sundown and sunup for the sun. The sun is always in its orbit. From our perspective, we see the sun in different positions in its orbit. So sometimes it's below the surface, sometimes it's rising to the surface of the horizon, and sometimes it's sitting in the midst of the beautiful sky, and sometimes it is going down. So when it's rising up and it's not even being seen yet, there is the glimmer of light that comes above the horizon. And one can immediately say, oh, the sun is soon to appear. But the light of the sun appears before the sun appears. The light of the sun is the energy of the sun. And the light of the sun also has many benefits. But when the sun fully comes, the benefits are fully given. You can't get much heat from the light of the sun when the sun is still below the horizon. But when the sun is above the horizon, then the full power of the sun's heat becomes available. So in the same way, when we, in the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, there are benefits that occur during the process of development. And using the analogy of the sun going over the horizon, material benefits and liberation are like that light before the sun appears. So bhukti and mukti, using the example of Gauravanda Thakur, who speaks this beautiful verse that because I'm engaged in pure devotional service to the Lord, bhukti and mukti stand with folded hands ready to serve me. So what we're hearing is that the real benefit, or the ultimate benefit, and the goal of chanting of the holy name of the Lord is to awaken one's natural, intrinsic, internal love for the Lord. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Saruka Bunoi Sravanadisiri Chitte Kodye Udoi. In the heart of all living entities, no matter what body that living entity is possessing, whether it's a demigod or it's an insect, In the heart of that living entity, there is pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The chanting of the holy name has been given special preference in this age of Kali as the means to awaken that love. Of course, there are other activities which supplement and support the chanting of the holy name, which are also required. But the holy name of Lord is like the sun of our love for Krishna. When it arises in our minds and within our hearts, then we have understood everything and there's nothing else to aspire for. You have achieved perfection. There is nothing else in life that has any meaning or any importance. In other words, yeah, when you are sitting and eating your favorite meal, and there's like maybe 25 preparations in that meal, and every one of the ones are some of your favorite preparations. All you can do is absorb yourself in it and experience the happiness and the variety of the satisfaction that's given by the various tastes coming from the different foodstuffs. I remember when I would travel to Mexico. In the year 2004, I traveled to Mexico. And they have a tradition of cooking. There was one family that would cook. We were invited to their home. And lunch was no less than 25 preparations. And sometimes it would go up to 40 just for lunch. And so, being new to Mexico and being new to many of the tastes of the Mexican food, it was just a delight to experiment with all the different flavors and all the different varieties. And so it was an experience, and it's something that causes one to become absorbed in. So, and if you go to Fiji's even more so. I think every lunch is 50 preparations, and if a sannyasi comes, they cook 108 for his lunch. And so if you're a sannyasi, be careful if you go to Fiji, because you'll be ready to perform the austerity of taking prasadam. But I'm using this as an example to say that when one experiences the love of God, when the bright sun of one's loving relationship shines within the heart and mind of the devotee, then there's nothing else. Nothing else is there. You don't aspire for anything else. Everything is complete. It is perfect. And that is the power and the efficacy and the position of chanting Krishna's holy name. It awakens that love. And therefore, Haridas Thakur explained the different stages: Namaparad, Namabhas, and Sudanam, the three stages of chanting of the holy names of the Lord. In the Nam Aparad stage, the chanting is done with offense, and therefore one can hardly taste the happiness of chanting. It can also become quite difficult when one is chanting with offenses. But that doesn't mean one should give up the chanting because there is a lack of taste, or still, if one still is honeycombed with offenses, that there is a reason to give up. No, Prabhupada said, just go on chanting, and try to avoid the offenses. And gradually you'll come to the stage of Namabhas. Namabhas is, the offenses have almost stopped. The major offenses are eradicated, and there's some traces of smaller offenses that are still lingering in the background. And there is the example. Namabhas is a reflection of the sunlight through the clouds. Sometimes you see a cloudy sky during the day, but then you notice that somewhere behind the clouds there is the sun. And so the clouds move a little bit, and a flash of that sunlight comes through the cloud. And there you say, oh, there comes the sun through the cloud. So that ray of light is compared to Namabas, getting the ray of the actual pure sun, but only a small fraction of that unlimited sunlight of the holy name. So when that, therefore, one continues to practice chanting and continues to engage in devotional service, and gradually, that sunlight of the holy name becomes more like a rising of the sun in the hearts and minds of the devotee. But we must add that although the holy name is perfect in itself, it requires that we follow the process as given by the spiritual master. Because the process itself is like supportive. Just like if you're cooking and you may be, you're cooking in a frying pan. This is just a very simple example, maybe not a perfect example. You're cooking, you have everything you need to cook, but the gas is so low that you can't keep up the cooking process. But you're still cooking, but it's taking so long. So, but when you have everything you need, then the process is working and you can continue following the protocol, and then eventually you have the finished preparation, what you desired. So in the same way that unless we follow the process given by the spiritual master, then the cooking, as Srila Prabhupada said, of a meal or the chanting of the holy name is compared to cooking with smoke. If you try to cook with smoke, you might say, well, there's some fire there, yes, but it will take 300 years. So in the same way, we must support the process of chanting, which is the ultimate principle of awakening our love for Krishna, with the process of devotional service. And of course, there are 9 angas, and one can be perfect in all of them. But one can be perfect by hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, becoming a friend, surrendering everything, worshiping, offering prayers, becoming a servant. The 9 processes of devotional service. But the acharyas, especially Srila Prabhupada, writes that it must accompany the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has endowed that chanting with all his full mercy. And therefore, Kali Yuga means, Kaler Dosha Nidhi Rajan Asti Eko Mahagunaha. In this age of Kali, that pure benediction to awaken one's love for Krishna comes in the form of these 32 syllables, 16 words of chanting of the Maha Mantra. So the Maha Mantra is foremost supported by all of the other activities as given by one's spiritual teacher in devotional service. And then the process is complete. If we just chant and we don't follow the rest of the process, we will be free from some suffering in the material energy. We will not get the benefit of the chanting, which is pure love of God. So therefore, one has to follow the process carefully. And therefore, on all levels, the chanting of the holy name awakens our natural love for Krishna. And this is what this particular thing here, you go back to the verse itself. Revisit the translation. And you see here, even if one who is embarrassed by hunger or falls down or stumbles, chants the holy name of the Lord even once, willingly or unwillingly, he is immediately free from the reactions of his past deeds. The example is Ajamil, who was so sinful and so much a materialist. He had committed so many sinful activities, causing much pain and suffering to other living entities in order to support his prostitute wife. He had no compunction of doing anything sinful. But by Krishna's grace, because he had somehow or other had piety and devotion in his early part of his life, Krishna never forgot that. So Krishna arranged, and this is mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, that he named his last son Narayan, which is a name for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so at the time when death was coming to take him away, he was so attached to his son that he immediately called for his son for help. He called out to his son, Narayan, please come, save me. But when he called, he was actually calling the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so he chanted Namabas. And because he did, all of his sinful reactions, which he had accumulated for many decades, were completely wiped away. And he was free from being taken away by the agents of Yamaraj, who came to take him away and bring him for further punishment for his sinful activities. The Yamadutas, the servants of Yamaraj, were stopped. You'll be coming to this particular pastime in the upcoming canto 6. So you're almost there. This is one of the most important pastimes in the Bhagavatam, because it shows the power and the mercy of Krishna's holy name, that when the Lord, when he chanted the Lord's name, he wasn't calling for the Lord, he was calling for his son. But because he chanted in a state of helplessness, and when he chanted, he heard his own voice speak the name of his son, but the name of his son was also the name of the Supreme Lord. And so when he did that, he also remembered Narayan at the time of hearing his own voice. Not prior to that, as soon as the sound of his own voice came, he remembered Narayan, and all of his sinful activities, as it says here, all the reactions from past deeds become immediately destroyed, even if one chants. And this is called chanting. What is it? It's called chanting. It's Namabas, but it's also called chanting unintentionally. Like sometimes people chant, and they start laughing, they laugh at us. You Hare Krishnas, you guys dress so funny, you look so funny with no hair, and you got that ponytail in the background. So they say Hare Krishna, and so they get some benefit. Or someone says, oh, you Hare Krishnas are just useless. You don't do any work. You'll get a job. You're just living off society. So they criticize us in that way. Or they may accidentally chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's like you might be nailing a nail into a board, and you slip and you hit your finger and you say Hare Krishna. So in this way, this is called accidental chanting of the holy name. This is what is being said here. Even if one does that, immediately get free from the reactions of their past deeds. So powerful, Krishna's holy name, and so merciful. That's the main point. It is Karuna avatar. It is full of mercy. So one should never give up the chanting of the holy names of the Lord under any condition. I'll tell a story, and I'll end this discussion with this particular story. And it's an interesting little tale. It's not it's an antidote, but it has a very powerful meaning. Sometimes devotees think, well, I've been chanting for a long time and it's so difficult, so hard, and I could be using my time doing other things more useful. I'm going to give up this chanting. It's not getting me anywhere. A devotee will think like that. And there are many examples. And so one devotee of one very powerful spiritual master, he was feeling like that. And so he went to his spiritual master. He said, Guru Maharaj, I'm sorry. I don't want to say this, but I don't see any benefit of me chanting anymore. I want to give it up. So his Guru Maharaj was very thoughtful, thinking of a way to he could convince his disciple otherwise. He said, all right, but before you give it up, I want you to make one little experiment, a little service I have for you to do. Go down by the river and you'll see that there are cranes there. Cranes are these big stork-like birds that stand on one leg. And they grab fish as the stream goes by. So I want you to go to this crane, get as close as you can without scaring him, and say, Hare Krishna. And there's one particular crane, he comes every day. So you go to that crane, and then he described where that crane goes. So he went to that crane, stood a distance away, said, Hare Krishna. And the crane started to shake, and then it fell over and it died. So now he comes back to his spiritual master, tells him what happened. He's a little shocked. Spiritual master says, never mind, I have another service for you. Go, and there is the Goshala. And in that Goshala, there is a calf that's just been born. Just recently, within the last few moments, I got the news the calf was born. So go to that calf and stand a distance away and chant Hare Krishna. So he goes by this newborn calf and he chants Hare Krishna. And the calf immediately starts to shake, rolls its eyes, falls over, and dies right in the presence of its mother. Now he's really overwhelmed with anguish. He runs back to his spiritual master and says, reports what happens. Now he's quite shaken up. The spiritual master said, never mind. But I want you to do one more thing before you give up chanting. The king in the local area, he is my disciple. He's an initiated disciple. He's actually your godbrother. He just recently had a baby boy son who was just born. I want you to go and come to the king and tell him that our spiritual master is very happy and he wants to send his blessings to the newborn child, and you've come on behalf of him to give the blessings to the child. And when you do, you chant Hare Krishna. So he goes, and the palace is in quite festive mood. Everyone is happy. The king has just had a son. The mother's there in the room with the baby, and the king is giving out, he's being congratulated by many of the members of the palace. He's also giving gifts. And then he comes, he gets a chance to see the king, and the king, he says, I am your godbrother. Our spiritual master has sent me to come. He has heard of your good fortune of receiving a new baby boy, and he wants to give blessings to the boy. So I've come on his behalf. King's very happy. Oh, okay. There, go in the room. The mother is there with the baby, and speak your blessing. So he goes in, and he says, Hare Krishna. The baby shakes, rolls his eyes, and falls over dead. The mother is in complete shock. She can't believe what happens, and she's overwhelmed with emotion. The word gets back to the king. The king is beyond himself with both grief and anger at the same time. Can't even think straight. He calls his guards and says, take this person away and torture him slowly, give him a slow death. Soon as that happens, all of a sudden, the body of that baby appears in the sky above the king and of everyone else in the palace. And the soul out of that baby's body floats in the sky, looks down at everyone, and looks at the boy and says, thank you very much. I was cursed to take 3 births, one as a crane, one as a calf, and one as a boy, as the son of this king. Now I can go back to the spiritual world. Thank you very much. When everyone sees this, the whole atmosphere changes. Of course, the king is still feeling the loss of his son, but he's no longer angry at the boy. He can understand it was the mercy of his spiritual master to liberate that soul from its bondage in this material world. He goes back to his spiritual master, tells what happened, and the spiritual master says, you still want to give up chanting the Hare Krishna Maharaj? No, Guru Maharaj, never will I give it up. Now I have understood. So this is just a nice example of how powerful the spirit. This story, although it's an antidote, does illustrate the power of the holy name. Just once, purely chanting the holy name, one can actually attain to the platform of pure devotion to Krishna. One will be situated in pure devotional service. It is so powerful. And that's the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this age, although this age is such a bad age, it's a very terrible age. There are so many problems. The scriptures say, Kaler Dosha Nidhi Rajan, that this place is an ocean of faults. Kali Yuga is full with faults. But Asti Eko Mahagun, Eko means one, Maha means great, and Gun means benediction. There is one boon that is a Maha boon. It is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Kirtana eva Krishnasya. And what is the benefit? Mukta Sangam Param Bhajet. One is freed from all reactions of all sinful activities, and they can attain to the spiritual realm. The power of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It is so powerful and it is so direct. Srila Haridas Thakur was challenged based on his statements on the glories of the holy name, but he proved beyond a doubt that the holy name the glories of the holy name are simply a understatement of the actual glories of the holy name. One can never really understand how wonderful and how powerful and how merciful the holy name is. It is Krishna himself in his most magnanimous feature of compassion, given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Karuna Avatar. Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gauda Tristena Maha. Namo Mahavadanaya. Vadanaya means magnanimous. He is the most magnanimous personality. He's come to give us the chanting of the holy name, which is the ultimate principle of compassion, mercy, and pure devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what we have here is something very precious. So keep it close to your heart. And just like if you have something precious, you make sure you keep it close. If it's some material possession, you guard it carefully. You may even lock it up and put keys and even hide the keys. So this is something that we find something very precious. So this holy name should be kept very close to ourself in our life as the ultimate treasure of our life, because the holy name alone is powerful enough to push back all of the effects of the age of Kali, the negative effects, and awaken one and bring one to transcendental consciousness and ultimately to return to the spiritual world. So yeah. And the benefits from the chanting of the holy name are mentioned here, but they are simply what we say, just like when you go to work, and you go to work and you get some benefits for going to work. You get maybe some healthcare benefits, or you get some vacation during the year sometime. You don't go to work to get health benefits. You don't go to work to get a vacation. You go to work in order to get some remuneration for the activities you perform. But these things are added on as extra benefits. So mukti and bhukti are simply material enjoyment, and liberation are simply extras that are come by way of the chanting of the holy name. They are not the goal. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for this brilliant speech. Again, thank you so much for constantly reminding us the glories of holy name and how precious it is, and how fortunate we are to have the such merciful giving of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and yet we struggle to chant, yet we don't have taste, yet we are like struggling to complete even 16 rounds that Srila Prabhupada has given us. But thank you again for constantly reinforcing the importance of it, Maharaj. Devotees, if you have any realizations, reflections, concern, questions, please go ahead and ask them to Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
And be nice to see everyone.
Yes, if you could kindly make yourself visible. Anybody has any questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Maharaj, in the
Where are you?
I am
you.
Oh,
there you go. I got you now.
Okay.
Sundari.
So Yes, Guruji. Yes, Maharaj. Maharaj, in the translation of verse 19, the real result of devotional service is awakening pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, I have heard that this is of course the final thing is devotional service awakens pure love. But when people have relationship problems, they don't address the relationship, and they have they go to chanting as the solution to it. But some of the classes that I heard where the speaker did mention that if you are having relationship problems, if you have emotional needs, you have to address them. Like the way you're hungry, you have to eat. Chanting will not eliminate your hunger. So if there are with kids or with family and all, but even there is a different set of devotee where they will say if there is any problem, we have to depend only on Krishna, only the holy name. So I want to know your thought on it.
Yeah, I say do both. Chant the holy name and work on the problem simultaneously.
Okay, got it. Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that's our philosophy. Because by chanting the holy name, you bring in the mercy of the Lord, and by using your intelligence, just like Arjuna was on the chariot. Now, Krishna was competent to win the battle without even Arjuna, but he used Arjuna as the means, and he told Arjuna, "You have to fight, but your fighting is not the means for winning. That's my mercy." So we have to combine the mercy of the Lord through taking shelter of the Lord, and at the same time address the problem in an intelligent and very, clear way.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, I got it. I have a follow up with this. So when I had a discussion with the Mataji, and she said there is nothing like emotional needs or anything. We just have to depend on Krishna. So I wanted to know how your say on this.
Well, that lady must be a pure devotee, because when you're one who is a pure devotee, will simply depend on Krishna in all circumstances. Not that Krishna does something, but depending on Krishna also means getting the intelligence that comes by depending on Krishna. Depending on Krishna it's just not some statement that just floats in the air. What does it mean to depend on Krishna? It means to take shelter, pray to him, and ask for his guidance. And that comes in the form of intelligence. It comes in the form of Krishna doing something to help one alleviate the situation. It can come in different forms. But depending on Krishna is just not something. What does it mean, depend on Krishna?
I got it, Maharaj. I have heard Mahatma Prabhu's classes on spiritual bypassing. So I heard him, and I have faith. But when devotees have a strong conviction, then I was like, I wanted to check it out with you. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
I should add one thing, that if you just try to solve the problem without chanting or depending on Krishna, you're going to be spinning on the material level, and you'll never come to any kind of real conclusion or solution.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Maharaj. Thank you very much.
Both are required. And again, the example is there. Krishna told Arjuna, you got to fight.
Yes. Yes, Maharaj.
You have to make the effort. But my mercy is the difference between victory and defeat.
Yeah.
Krishna responds to our effort along with our prayer. Prayer is not idle. Prayer inspires one to move forward and do things.
Yes. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Sridevi Mataji.
Okay, sorry.
Sridevi Mataji, would you like to go ahead?
Do we have Anuradha who's going to speak? No.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please
Krishna
accept
Maharaj.
Sorry, Mataji, please go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
It's Sridevi
No,
Mataji.
there's two Anuradhas online here. So.
Oh, excuse me. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you so much for the beautiful class, and very grateful for your association, Maharaj. Maharaj, when we hear about chanting, Maharaj, I have a doubt on this. Is it only the holy name? Because I don't remember exactly which purport, but I remember reading Srila Prabhupada's purport, where Prabhupada says, reading these books is also chanting. And I personally feel, I'm talking for myself, Maharaj, that through Shravanam, through hearing classes, I can get connected to Krishna much quicker than. Is Maharaj online? I don't see him.
I'm there.
Okay, sorry, Maharaj, I couldn't see you. I could see Mataji. Yeah. So Maharaj, for me, when I hear a beautiful class like this one, it is much easier for me to connect. It's like it takes moments to get connected to Krishna. Whatever level, wherever I am, then through chanting, while chanting, my mind is everywhere, but I'm much absorbed when I'm listening to a class or rather reading a book where Srila Prabhupada writes beautiful, beautiful purports. And I remember, and our 9 process also starts with Shravanam. Are they part of chanting, Maharaj, when we say chanting, or chanting is just the holy name?
Well, we're referring to the holy name in this particular discussion, but there are many mantras also that we chant. We chant pranam mantras to the spiritual master. We chant Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mantra, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Mantra is powerful. Mantra invokes the essence of the mantra into our consciousness, and it actually brings about some type of activity, some kind of result. Mantra alone, when it's chanted properly, can actually performs activities by itself, makes things happen. You see that great yogis, just by mantras, they can travel from one place to another by the power of mantra. Mantra is very powerful. And even if it's chanted improperly, still there is still some benefit from the chanting of the mantra. Yeah, so I somehow think I didn't get the gist of your question.
Yes, Maharaj, the thing is, like Prabhupada writes in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe Canto 1, that this reading of scripture is also chanting. So how do we understand that, Maharaj?
Yeah, but he gave both. Take his instructions completely. He said we have to chant, we have to read also. So reading scripture is chanting the glories of the Lord.
Yes, Maharaj. I just wanted to give that clarification. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Shri Devi Mataji, did you have any questions?
Let's go with the devotees in Charlotte first, and then the devotees that come on second, devotees from my group, they can come on at the end. We'll give the Charlotte devotees first preference. That's why I'm here, for the Charlotte devotees today. But everyone can participate. Okay, Chaturbhuj, Chaitanya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandvat Pranam Maharaj. So blessed Maharaj by hearing your nectarian words on this topic of chanting of the holy names, Maharaj. Maharaj, I have this confusion, Maharaj, that we have heard from many devotees that the chanting will bring good result if simultaneously we develop good understanding about the holy name, our relationship or the mood, how should we chant, and simultaneously we also hear that devotees say that 16 rounds is not enough for us. We have to not just neglect services but also we have to chant more. So I just wanted the clarification, Maharaj, that should we increase our chanting and simultaneously develop our understanding more by reading Prabhupada books and hearing about the holy name? Or is it like that if we chant minimum 16 rounds and we go on that part of developing our understanding by hearing about the holy name and reading scriptures, will that be the way on this?
Well, if you examine carefully Srila Prabhupada's instructions, you'll find there are apparently, in the context that is being said, there is certain instructions that apply, but then you have to see what is the broader instructions they're more common and more prominent. And therefore, when you carefully hear Srila Prabhupada's lectures, but mostly in his books, the principle is Satatam Kirtayanto Mam. It means to chant 24 hours a day. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean just a Mahamantra. That means chanting the glories of the Lord 24 hours a day. That's the duty. So whether we're singing kirtan or hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam or speaking Bhagavatam, that is also chanting. That was the essence of the question that we heard before. So everything is contained in the glorification of the Lord. But the essence of the glorification, as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is to chant the holy name Mahamantra. And so when you read Srila Prabhupada's instructions in his books, he's always encouraging the devotees to chant more, because it works this way. When you get a taste for chanting, automatically you want to chant more. So if you're actually chanting properly, you'll increase. It'll just happen automatically. It's like if something is good, you want more of it. Something is sweet, you want more of it. So yeah, but there are different types of devotees. So there's other devotees who may want to read and study more and more and chant just 16 rounds. There are devotees who want to chant more and more and still read and study. So one may balance one way or the other, but both are doing the same in the sense they're both glorifying the Lord, and that's the essence.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for this. Maharaj.
You have to find what attracts you the most. But sometimes the problem is we get attracted to everything, and then we just, I don't have enough time. And then that's the ticket back home, back to Godhead, when we have no time for material life. That's the principle of the Goswamis. The Goswamis, it's not that they, they just forgot to eat. They forgot to sleep. They were just too busy engaged in devotional service. So we want to come to that level of becoming more attracted to the activities in devotional service, which will lead us to more and more devotional activities. Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
We have Mr. Kavi Kanapur.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Pranam Maharaj. Thank you very much for your lecture, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, I have a question. I read one purport of Srila Prabhupada. I've forgotten the purport now because I read it very long time ago. And Prabhupada mentioned here that for us to go back to the spiritual world, we have to reach the level of Ashakti, whether in chanting or reading, whatever. So, and Ruchi is before Ashakti. So my question is that even if you have developed taste and there's no attachment, is it possible that one developed taste and there's no attachment? Because it's two different levels, Maharaj. Ruchi, then Ashakti. So please, can you expatiate more on this, Maharaj? Thank you.
Well, Ruchi is preliminary to Ashakti. Shakti is a higher stage. So when Ruchi develops, when it matures, when Ruchi first begins, it's not a Shakti, but as it develops, it matures, it becomes more intense, then it moves automatically into a Shakti. So yeah, when a Shakti develops, that is firm attachment for hearing the glories of the Lord, for chanting the glories of the Lord, for engaging fully in the service of the Lord. But Shakti contains Ruchi, obviously. The previous stages are included in the next stage automatically.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams. Maharaj, I have one question. This is, I was wondering, Maharaj, you just said that the great devotees like, the Sad Goswamis and other great devotees, they were engaged in devotional service and, they didn't have much of material demands and things like that. So I was like wondering, Haridas Thakur, he was engaged in chanting like the whole day. And how about the other devotees? Were they engaged in like, writing books or,
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah. The Goswamis, that was their bhajan. Their bhajan was to write books. They would gather every morning at the beginning of the day and sit and discuss their activities of their writings amongst each other and plan out the day and then begin their services. They would. Yeah, so that's a type of devotional expression, writing books. That's bhajan. That's called Shravana. Shravanam. No, it's called Kirtanam. I'm sorry. Writing is Kirtanam. You're putting sound vibrations on paper for others to read. Therefore, you're speaking something, and that's Kirtanam. And when they read it, that's Shravanam.
Thank you, Maharaj. So were they also involved in other kinds of devotional service, or it was mainly?
They arranged for the building of temples. Rupa Goswami is connected with the Govindaji temple. Jiva Goswami, Radha Damodar, Sanatan Goswami, Madan Mohan. Who were the other? Who else? Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Radha Raman temple. Who else? Raghunath Das Goswami wasn't so much, and Raghunath Bhatta and Raghunath Das Goswami, neither one of them were connected with temple buildings, but Raghunath Das Goswami was engaged in writing books. So building temples was another one of their activities. Or in commissioning rich people to engage their money and time in constructing these beautiful temples for the worship of the Lord.
Sure, Maharaj. So that gives me a clearer idea. Like they were also engaged in, some kind of transcendental business dealings with outsiders, perhaps like devotional people who were, ready to give Lakshmi donations for the temples and things like that, right?
Well, if you read the history, you'll find that they never facilitated that. The only one that facilitated that was let's see, who was that? That was I think it was Raghunath Das Goswami. He wanted to excavate the make nice bathing places for Radha and Krishna, and so he commissioned one rich person to give his money in that, and that's the only example. The other ones were they didn't. These rich people came to them and saw that these were great saints, and so they offered to do some service. I think Sanatan Goswami was one. What was it? The story is that one very rich merchant, he was a salt merchant. He was carrying a large quantity of salt on his boat, and he got stuck on a barge. And so he couldn't take his boat out. It was stuck. So he came to, I think, a Sanatan or Rupa Goswami, I think it was. And he asked, for some mercy. The Lord told him, you build a temple and then Krishna will free your your ship. And so he used all his wealth to build, I think it was in Madan Mohan's temple. And then after he did it, his ship got free. So the only one we know is Raghunath Das Goswami, when he asked that one rich merchant to use his money to renovate Shamakund and Radhakund, which had been somewhat lost to time. But they didn't associate with worldly minded people, not at all. They stayed away from that. Mm-hmm. The song of the six Goswamis, what is that one? I can't remember that one verse. Let me think. One beautiful verse. Gopi Bhatta Bhatta Kamala. No, Taktva tu namashesha mandalapati sading sada tuchava utva dina ganesha kokononaya gopin tuchava. The word tuchava means insignificant. Taktva tu namashesha mandalapati means aristocratic people, and tuchava means insignificant. So they gave up the association of wealthy people, just like one gives up stool after they leave the bathroom. Mandalapati Sading Sadat Tuchava. Tuchava means insignificant. They didn't consider they considered that kind of association useless and insignificant. Mandalapati, big Jamindars, big wealthy people. So that's a glorification of one of their qualities. Because Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami were employed by the government of Hussein Shah for a long time. They were government ministers, but they gave it up.
Thank you, Maharaj. I was just wondering, there were huge Rath Yatra festivals conducted and organized during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. And I'm sure, there was a lot of effort going into coordinating those. And of course, Lakshmi was involved, a lot of even other seva, like cooking and, other devotee services, like to make it convenient.
That was for the Rath Yatra during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That was King Prataparudra. Who was attracted to Lord Chaitanya. So, but the Rath Yatra festival was a daily affair for Lord Jagannath. So it wasn't like a special occasion that was made to happen. It was a regular yearly program to glorify the pastime of Lord Jagannath. So there was nothing extra about that festival. When we do it in the West, it's extra. When they do it in Puri, it's tradition.
Sure, Maharaj. So I'm I'm getting the idea that the Goswamis and the elevated devotees, they, stayed away from any kind of material dealing and things like that.
If you read that verse, this is spoken by Srinivasacharya in the prayers of to the six Goswamis. I think it's verse number 4 or 6, I'm not sure. One of those verses. It says they gave up the association of aristocratic people as being insignificant. Everyone seeks out some kind of prestige that comes by associating with such big worldly people, but the Goswamis saw it as being just insignificant. But when these people came to want to offer service, they engaged them in service.
Yeah, but they didn't manage it or anything like that, right?
No, they weren't managing it. No. They stayed with their bhajans.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We have a question in the chat where Mataji is probably asking, Hare Krishna Maharaj, is it okay to chant while hearing Bhagavatam class?
Unless you're a pure devotee, it's okay. But if you're not going to be able to concentrate on both at the same time. If you're a pure devotee, you don't see any difference. But for us, it's not recommended. Concentrate on one or the other. Prabhupada would answer that way. When you're chanting. If you're listening to Bhagavatam, then do that. I'm sure that's how Prabhupada would answer it. Is that okay, Nitya Leela?
She writes, okay, thank you, Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I think Nitya Leela is a pure devotee, so maybe it doesn't apply.
So Maharaj, I know that we shouldn't chant, but sometimes it so happens that in the morning you are hearing something. Since you are very low in your consciousness, you want to hear something, but you delay the chanting. Like especially I delay the chanting because I want to exclusively chant. So I sometimes think that if I parallelly chant, then I might get the taste for chanting also, and I'll finish sooner than all the time delaying to exclusively.
I think you should ask your husband. I'm sure he can help you with that one. He'll give you a clear understanding. I guess you're asking me because I'm more in a neutral position, but but I'm sure he has the insight of how that works.
Yes, just because I'm so fallen that I keep delaying to exclusively chant. I don't even get to my rounds because I want to exclusively chant. So that is another, I'm going more down rather than doing it better. Just because
you just want to chant. That's all you want to do.
Yeah, I try to do exclusive chanting, but then I start very late sometimes, and it gets delayed, by evening and all. So I don't even chant in the morning because I feel that, okay, I shouldn't do parallelly. And so even if it's not our rounds, some extra rounds, but is it okay to chant just to, get started or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, that's fine. That's devotion.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we can go to Sri Devi now. She's patiently waiting. Or maybe just waiting.
No, delightful to hear all these questions and the wonderful questions and the super wonderful answers, Guru Maharaj. Every moment is nectar, and I'm grateful for every word emanating from your lotus mouth. Thank you so much. Guru Maharaj, my question is about Bhukti and Mukti, where it says over here that Bhukti and Mukti just accompany devotional service and are waiting to serve. So how can a devotee understand, supposing some material opulence comes a devotee's way, how do we know that we can use that in Krishna's service, or it is a test of Maya who's just presenting something to see? Will they fall for it? Will they try to enjoy it? And
well,
so,
if it's a test of, if it's coming, then use it in devotional service, and then you pass the test.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, whatever comes, use it in Krishna service, and you can't go wrong.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. You make everything so clear. My humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
There's one question in the chat. How to increase concentration while chanting?
There's a nice book by Satchidananda Maharaj called The Living Name. Get that book and read it. It'll give you many hints on how to increase the quality of your hearing, increasing the ability for attention. That book he deals with different aspects of that from different angles. So there's something for everybody in that book. It's called The Living Name. It's become quite popular in devotional circles now. One of the tips that he gives, which is very helpful in my chanting, is he always says, concentrate fully on the first Hare in the mantra. He said, when you do that, then it becomes more natural and easy to hear the rest of the mantra. So bring in that first Hare to complete attention. That's one. And the other thing is shut off your cell phone. Turn it off. The Mahatma Prabhu has put a nice book together called Japa Affirmations. It gives 20 different hints on how to increase the quality and devotional mood of our chanting. That book is it covers everything. So these two, Living Name and Japa Affirmations, both of them are really these books are worth studying and practicing. But you should always remember that devotion to Krishna is the principle of chanting. The techniques will help to bring about devotion, but unless devotion actually becomes part of your chanting. So Prabhupada gives us 2 points. He said, chant very clearly and hear the sound vibration, and chant in the mood of a child calling for its mother. That means in a mood of helplessness. These 2 things Prabhupada emphasized over everything: clear chanting and helpless calling. And chanting helplessly really indicates our position, because this material world is a dangerous place. And we are also, have a tendency towards material life. So we want to get out of that tendency. We want to come back to Krishna. So we're being dragged, in one sense, by material life. And we're praying to Krishna, please pick me up from this. Ayi nanda tanuja kinkaram, patitam mam vishame bhavam Vipaya tavapada pankaja stita duli sadrisham vichintaya. So this verse is on the level of ashakti, or attachment to the Lord, and should be chanted occasionally, either during the time we're chanting or maybe at the beginning, to reconnect our consciousness to the mood of depending on Krishna to pick us up from this material struggle.
Any further questions for Maharaj? Any reflections, concerns?
Okay. Okay, thank you. I think we have exhausted the time period. But thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting you again as time moves on. Something that never stands still is time. It's always moving. And we are moving with the time. Unless we have developed pure Krishna consciousness, then we are not affected by time. And time is just a feature of the material energy, and it doesn't have any influence on the devotee.
Okay, if no further questions, we can end the call then. Mancha kalpatarubhyascha Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Candramauli Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you for the very nice class.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.